Once upon a time, a little boy had a dad, and this dad was shrunk. So he went from being a big, tall dad to a little tiny dad the size of a mouse. And this little boy was walking around his house and saw his little tiny dad looking at a toy airplane. And the little tiny dad said, "Little Alex, I think that I can fly this airplane. Would you like to come with me?" "Do you think it's big enough for us both?" Alex asked the little tiny dad. "Yes, I think you can stand on the wings and it will be just big enough for both of us to fly," the little tiny dad said. "Okay, let's give it a try," Alex the little boy said. And they went outside, and little tiny dad sat inside the airplane and started the engine. And the propellers spun and spun and spun. And then it started to go forward down the sidewalk. And the little boy raced after it and climbed on top just as the little airplane started to take off in the air. The little boy sat on the fuselage, that's the middle part, and his legs hung on top of the wings and his feet dangled below. And he leaned and hugged his dad and said, "Oh, Dad, this is so much fun." And little tiny dad said, "Oh no, careful, you shifted the weight." And the airplane started to tilt, and it started to go out of control. And it crashed into a tree and got stuck. A tree very close to the little boy's house. And the little boy asked, "Little dad, are you okay?" And little dad said, "Yes, I'm okay. How are you, son?" And the son said, "I am well, thank you." "Oh, but the plane looks stuck," little dad said. "Yes, it sure does," the little boy answered. "I have an idea," the little boy said. And he ran into his house and opened up the garage. And he took out a really tall ladder and set it under the tree. Little tiny dad said, "That's not very close, is it?" "No, it's not," the little boy answered. "But," and then he ran inside the house and grabbed a second ladder. And he put the second ladder on top of the first ladder. "Almost," little tiny dad said. The boy ran back into the house and got a chair. And he climbed up the first ladder. Then he climbed up the second ladder. And he put the chair on top of the second ladder. "I think you can do it," little tiny dad said. And the little boy reached up and was able to pull the airplane loose from the tree. And just as he did, the chair started to fall. And they were so high up in the sky because they were up on top of two ladders and one chair. So the little tiny dad started the engine super fast. And they started to face up towards the sky. And the little tiny dad zoomed the airplane against the force of gravity. So when they landed on the ground, it was gentle. And there was no ouchies for the little boy or his little tiny dad. Little tiny dad said, "Wow, that was such a fun adventure. I'm glad we're all okay." And little tiny dad turned off the airplane and he said, "This is the only time I think we should try this. It's too dangerous." And the little boy said, "Well, maybe when I grow even bigger, I could fly us in a real airplane. That would be safe." And little tiny dad said, "That's a great idea, but we're not in a hurry. You can learn how to fly a real airplane, and then you can take us for a ride. And hopefully I'll be big by then." the little boy looked at his little tiny dad and said, "Okay, would you like to come out of the airplane now?" And little tiny dad said, "Yes." So the little boy plucked his dad out of the airplane and put him in his front pocket. And the little boy brought the ladders back inside, the chair back inside, and the airplane he brought back inside and put on a shelf in his bedroom. And he said, "You know, Dad, you always tell me that if I eat healthy meals, I'll grow big and tall. Should I make you a healthy meal to see if you grow back to your full size?" And the little tiny dad said, "Sure, I'll give it a try. I would always like to eat a nice healthy meal." So the little boy went into the kitchen and he cooked up salmon and sweet potatoes and broccoli and chicken and oatmeal and strawberries and blueberries, and he made a beautiful feast. And the little boy and the little tiny dad ate as much as they could. And then the little boy noticed his dad did not grow and said, "I'm sorry, little tiny dad, I don't know what's wrong." And then the little boy gave his little tiny dad a kiss on the head. And then the little dad started to grow and grow and grow and grow until the little dad was 6 feet tall again. And the little dad was now regular dad. And regular dad said, "Thank you for helping me get big and tall again in such a wonderful adventure, little son." "You're welcome, Dad," the little boy said. And the dad said, "Well, I will tell you, I am quite tired from all those adventures and from changing size again back to my full size. I think it's time that we take a nap. What do you think?" And the little boy said, "I think that's a lovely idea. Thank you, Dad. I'm going to wash my hands and brush my teeth and go to my bed." And the little boy did that. He brushed his teeth. He washed his hands. He made sure his face was nice and clean. And he looked at his dog, who was trying to get comfortable in the dog's little bed. And then the boy crawled into his bed and he said, "I'll just lay down with my blanket on and my head on a pillow, and I'll close my eyes, and like my nice little dog, I will fall asleep."